Welcome to Novel Nourishment, and today I'm going to show you how to cook veggies with salmon and eggs. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab some oil. I'm using sunflower oil to spray them pans up. Give it about 10-20 sprays, or like 3 teaspoons in each one, 2 teaspoons, whatever level of oil you like. And I'm going to put the veggie pan on like a medium heat and the salmon pan on a low heat. Now, to give the entire meal flavour, I'm going to add some pepper. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of pepper in each pan. It's up to you, but just don't overdo it, and put that in the oil. This will infuse the oil of the thing we're about to cook on and just make it a bit nicer. Look at that. And then I'm also going to add some garlic granules. You could alternatively add a bolt, like a couple cloves, but I feel sometimes I prefer just to add the powder. Garlic doesn't do bad for anything. Just make sure that's kind of liquefied. There, lovely. Now wash and chop up some veggies. I've chosen today to do carrots and mushrooms. Nice and simple, nice and healthy. And these are the things you're going to throw in the wok as soon as possible. Now you've got the veggies in the pan. Just stir them about, get them moving. You don't want them to be stagnant for too long, otherwise they'll burn. And then if you fancy it, get your oil. Spray a little bit more on. Fat is equal to flavour in the oil cooking world. And another thing I'm going to do, which you may find a bit uncommon, is I'm going to grab some vinegar, for malt vinegar. Just sprinkle that in. Now, I just find it kind of adds depth to the flavour, I find. And give that a nice little stir about. The vinegar smells so good. Now you're going to put this onto a medium to medium-high heat, so like that, and you're just going to want to keep it moving. While you do this, if you see it drying up, don't be afraid to put another squirt of oil in, or even add a little bit more vinegar to it. There we go, look at that. I might even add some to this pan to get rid of. But vinegar is an alternative to oil when it comes to cooking. Never be afraid to use vinegar. And because of this, I might add a little bit more cracked pepper into the veggie mix. Now be free, you can add whatever you want to the veggie mix. But I chose to do mushrooms and carrots today. Look at that go. And this will take about 10 to 15 minutes on the wok. But while we keep heating this up, it's time to move on to our salmon. So we're going to move up our salmon. This is our base for the salmon we're using. Keep that stirring around. It's time to prepare the salmon. One moment. Now this meal serves 2 people, so here's our salmon. As you can see, our pan is heating up, so I'm just going to spray a little bit more oil in that so it doesn't stick. And then it's on a kind of a low heat. I'll nudge it up a tiny bit, so like a medium low, but more on the low end as heat goes. Maybe down a tiny bit there. Like that sort of flame is what you want, that sort of heat, medium low heat. Grab your salmon fillets and just place them skin down. There we go, and I'm going to add a little bit of pepper for seasoning. You don't need to go too mad, just a little bit of pepper suffices. Pepper is a very powerful food to use when you're cooking. Very simple, very delicious. Now we're just going to leave that to simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we'll have a look at how long it's been. But put a 5-minute timer for your first round of the salmon. Let it slowly cook from the bottom. That's the best way to cook. Now when you're cooking the mushrooms, don't forget to keep stirring it. I feel we got to the point now where we've put in enough of the sauces. It's just time to let it all soak up and go all floppy, especially them carrots. You want them carrots to be nice and soft. So let's cook that up, and we'll put the heat down a notch. So we're going to put this on like a medium-high heat. I was on a high before. We're at medium-high heat. So keep stirring that around. There we go. Now after you cook the veggies for about 10 minutes, it's time to add a bit of salt in. I've got seaweed salt, but you can just use any old salt. There we go, just a couple pinches will suffice. And give it a nice little stir. This will help it pick up all the moisture. The salt will absorb the moisture. Maybe give the veggies some more fullness. And about 3 minutes into cooking the salmon by now on a low heat, you're going to take that boy nice and slowly. Now after about 4 minutes cooking that salmon, just put a little bit of vinegar. Get the cook going a bit more, get things sizzling, and maybe turn the heat up a tiny notch so it's a medium-low, got more on the higher end of medium-low. As you can see, that salt has really helped. It's been about 10 to 11 minutes now, 12 minutes around that, since cooking these veggies. And you can see this, it was really quite wet, but this little bit of salt I put on has really helped absorb it and dried up the mixture. Give it a couple minutes, after 15 minutes to be ready, and to bowl up and then get to the next stage with this very same pan. So the salmon has been on pretty much a low heat for about 7 minutes now. So after that 7 minutes, what you're going to want to do is flip them. Now this is a very delicate part of the process because this is where I'd usually end up breaking the salmon. Be very gentle and try and get it onto the right sort of angle. Trying to mess this up, trying to teach everyone else, but yeah, about like that. Just try and strain it up a bit. Yeah. Now it's been about 15 minutes since putting on the veggies, and I believe that they're ready. It's dry in the pan now. It's time to get them bowled up so we can move on to our next step. There, the veggies are nicely plated up. Egg number 1. Egg number 2. Now the benefit of using the previous pan is we get some of the flavours from the old pan in the... I've messed that egg up a little bit. Doesn't matter though. Cooking is not a science. Third egg. And the fourth egg. There we go. I'm just going to let that sizzle, and to get it going a little bit more, sprinkle a little bit of vinegar on it. Now with the salmon being on its side for free, now I'll put the heat on low and just let that sizzle until it's cooked. That's the salmon on its final side. Now as you can see, the eggs are cooking. I'm going to turn up the heat to medium-low heat, just to get them frying up. But in very shortly they'll be alright. And I'm going to season it with, you can guess it, some black pepper. Give them a bit of a hit, these eggs. Give them a nice little crack and bang. There we go. So now the status update, after about 2 minutes of it being outside, we'll just give it a little check. That's alright. So with the salmon, you want to cook it on its skin down for probably about 8 minutes or so. Put it on its side for about another 4 or 5 minutes, and then on the other side for about another 3 or 4 minutes. And then check to make sure it's not pink and it's too ready and bloody inside, and it's ready. The eggs are cooking away nicely. So give it a look. It's starting to, we'll let it sit on its back, and I think these eggs will take about 5 minutes. But you guys know when an egg's ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut them in half in a minute. We'll do it now actually. Cut it in half because we're serving for 2 people. And we'll separate these eggies out. There we go. And that will be nice, ready shortly. And we're not going to flip them, I don't believe. I'm just going to let them cook on a fairly medium-low heat for the next 2 or 3 minutes. Now I reckon these salmons are ready now. We'll just give it a little check. Give it a little feel. Yeah, I'd say it's ready. So what I'm going to do is move these over to the plate. Now we have some lovely juices in the pan. I'm going to just pour these over my food like that. Get that extra flavour in. Now after another 2 minutes of frying, it does seem like the eggs are starting to look ready. But what I'm going to do actually is, because I don't want to flip them, I'm going to put it onto its lowest setting and take off the heat for like 30 seconds. Put it back on the heat and do that 2 or 3 times until we start to see the wetness at the top down. So you know what you're doing, boys. Now, due to the fact I don't want the egg to be runny still, I'm actually going to flip them quickly, contrary to previous belief. So, and that'll be ready. I'm going to flip that one, take it off. And so the eggs have been cooking for about 4 or 5 minutes now, about 5 minutes. But they're almost done, I think. They just need that. So I'm going to say that's done because it's been cooked on the other side. And place that down on this one. Look at that. Lovely jubbly. Okay, this doesn't look the most perfect, but it looks good enough for me. And now we've got the other eggs. Flip them as well. Get that to sizzle off for about 30 seconds just to get the the wetness of the egg off the top, and then I'm going to put that on the other plate. Hopefully that won't. So I'm going to let that until that, you see that yolk has exploded. I'm going to let it harden, and then I'm going to take it off. Now look at that beauty. Look at that. Look at a nice, healthy, ketogenic, decent oils have been used. A real high protein filling meal for anyone who has a hard day of work. Look at that. Perfect gym food. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was Novel Nourishment. Have an absolutely fantastic day. I love you all. Goodbye.
She's at you, Ash.
Delicious.